What is going on, Empire? It is your girl, Panda, here bringing you another episode of Striking Fury, sponsored by Omnitrans. Omnitrans is the proud sponsor of this podcast and your ride to the Strykers games and everywhere else you want to go in San Bernardino County. Omnitrans also offers free rides for students at local schools, supporting the next generation of soccer athletes and getting them to school, practice, and games for free. Visit omnitrans.org for more information and to plan your next ride. Now that we have got your ride to our games all planned out, let's meet the rest of this crazy crew who is going to be bringing you some of the news that has happened over the last several weeks, since it's been a little bit of time since our last podcast. And of course, first I have to my right, Christian Philemon is in the house. What is going on?
Hello, Empire Armada, and welcome to another episode of Striking Fury, the official podcast for the Empire Strykers. I know we didn't get a pod out to you last week, and don't blame us. Blame the wonderful creators of the holiday Valentine's Day. Now, when you're married to Panda, the last thing you want to do is forego Valentine's Day. I mean, look at her, for Christ's sakes. Got to shower her in wine, chocolate, and love, of course. And so that's the reason why we didn't partake on the episode. And obviously, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We had 2 games on the road last week. We obviously have an amazing game to recap against the Strykers. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we got to introduce the man who puts a PhD in personality.
We are talking about, of course, the Dr. Jonathan Reimer. What is going on, buddy?
What's up, Empire Faithful? What's up, Philly? What's up, Panda? More importantly than the celebration of Valentine's Day, the world also got to celebrate another important day this week. And that is, of course, the birthday of one Amanda Panda Philemon. Happy birthday. In the words of... In the immortal words of Weird Al Yankovic, it's time to eat a lot of broccoli and drink a lot of beer. Happy birthday to you.
How old?
It doesn't matter. I am drinking the wine that, of course, you picked out for me and sent me, and it is amazing. It is, what's it called? Hanson water? Is that what I was? Is that what I remember?
Hampton water.
Hampton water. Sorry. I couldn't. I knew it was something. I got too excited.
New York.
I just opened it. Oh, Hampton water. Got it. No, it's delicious. It's a rosé and it's fantastic. So thank you so much for your lovely gift. It was pretty incredible. So
yeah, dude, the box it came in, when I got home and I looked at it, I couldn't figure out how to open the damn thing. How is it that every one of your amazing drink gifts comes with a box that's Philly proof? It's just this amazing alcohol that I can't get to, and I have to think about how to open the package. Nothing short of taking a hammer to it. I still haven't figured it out yet. I haven't tried your Mike Hampton water yet, but I'm intrigued.
So the whole joke about the gift was I picked a box that was perfectly really cryptic on how to open. And when I sent it to you, I was like, I'm going to get them, right? And then I heard nothing about difficulty of opening the box until now. So I thought you had simply outdone my trick until this very moment right now, when I just found out that my joke landed right here live on Striking Fury.
Just so you know, I had absolutely no problem figuring it out. I mean, I looked at it and I was like, okay, and I slid it
overachiever over here.
But the thing is, I put it back together after, I like took a picture of it and everything, and he came home to the box closed, and he hasn't been able to open it. But I obviously have, because, well, I'm drinking the wine. So I guess
I saw the very nice. I saw the very nice photo online with the box open, so I knew you had figured it out at least.
Yes. I did. And you know what's funny is you sent me a bottle of wine one time that was also very hard to open. I actually had to Google how to open it. I forget which one that was, but I was like, oh my gosh. But there's a whole like Reddit thread about it out there. So clearly it wasn't just me. But it was great. Delicious wine.
Vecchia Moderna Lambrusco. Fantastic wine. But yes, you have to like submerge the bottle underwater and do this whole thing. And it's clearly there's a theme here.
It's like an escape room game just to get into your wine.
You know, that's yours. Like, I don't recall you getting me anything that was complicated.
We would still be trying to open it.
I mean, know your audience, right? Speaking of
Exactly.
which,
Yes. Let's talk about audience. That means people are listening to something. And Philly, you had the opportunity to do something that was pretty cool earlier last week, I believe. Do you want to tell everybody kind of what that was all about? And we have kind of a little announcement. I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, so I got to appear on a show called Soccer in 60, which was on 1490 AM KMET Smart Talk 98.1 FM. So I've hit the AM and the FM dials, and this is a network that's an affiliate of ABC News Radio. And so Soccer in 60 is a show that obviously talks about, well, soccer in 60 minutes, no brainer in the title. But a lot of it is about the Empire Strikers. And I got to be on there with the host, Tim Kolach, and we had a nice discussion about Empire and a little bit about me and how I came about in indoor soccer. And from what I'm gathering, it's going to be we're going to be seeing a lot of this show and a lot more banter about the Strikers. Obviously, we're doing everything that we can to get the name and the word out there in social media and out and obviously the social spheres. And earlier today, we had a press release that came out indicating that we're going to have this weekly audio program, and it's not only going to just cover the Empire Strikers, it's also going to cover a lot of the teams here in Southern California, in particular our region. So we'll focus on the Empire Strikers during the regular season, but during the off season, a lot more of the show is going to be focused on LAFC, Angel City, Orange County SC, and the LA Galaxy. So we're going to have this going all year long, and Tim's still going to be the host of it. He's a great host, and he's a passionate fan of the sport. He truly does love the game, and there's going to be a rotation of hosts that are going to be in and around. And obviously, among the sponsors of the show is Rancho Cucamonga based National Core, which is the third largest provider of affordable housing in the country. So keep your eyes out on that for that. Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is going to be the time where it's on. But if you can't catch it just based on geographic scenarios and just obviously being at work, if you go to kmet1490am.com, you'll see the Soccer in 60 show, and you'll be able to catch the podcasts on SoundCloud, of course, for free. And so check that out. Again, the website is KMET1490am.com. The show is called Soccer in 60, and you'll be seeing a lot of Tim, and hopefully you'll be seeing a lot of us as well, as we're set to provide to you a lot of information about Southern California soccer and, of course, the Empire Strikers.
Yeah, it sounds
it's going
like
to be
a
a lot
lot of
more
fun.
in
Yep. Go ahead.
just inform, educate, and entertain, right? Just a wave the flag for Philly's motto there was all I was going to throw in.
Yes, absolutely. And
Did you say nap? Absolutely? Because I could totally go for a nap right now.
absolutely. That should be a new word. Like, I absolutely need a nap right now. Napsolutely.
Yeah, this is my second pot of the day already.
Oh, well, I know jobs are hard, work is hard, but if you are looking for a job and you want to be just as exhausted as the rest of us are, then we have a little bit of a job opportunity for them, don't we, Philly?
Yes, we do, Panda, and that's a smooth segue. Omnitrans is the proud Omnitrans got to get paid. The proud sponsor of Striking Fury and your ride to Strikers games and everywhere else you want to go in the San Bernardino County. Now, alluding to those jobs, Omnitrans is now hiring bus operators, mechanics, and vehicle service workers. Have your opportunity to earn great wages, get up to $1,000 for a sign-on bonus, and enjoy great benefits, including medical, dental, got to have those teeth clean, you know what I mean? And tuition reimbursement, because knowledge is power. Working for Omnitrans is more than just a job, it's a career. Visit omnitrans.org/mycareer and apply today.
Love it. Love it. Love it. A great opportunity for anybody out there that's looking for a job. Great benefits as well. But let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. What people love to tune in for. Wow, naps and meat and potatoes. What is happening?
Wine.
Hey, always fine with my little glass of wine because this was all that was left.
Actually, ironically, I made meat and potatoes for dinner tonight, so this is perfect, right?
Love it. Well, speaking of those meat and potatoes, I'm talking about the last 3 games that have happened since our last podcast. They were some interesting ones to say the very least. We had some exciting ones. We had some kind of almost comebacks. We had some blowouts. So I don't know. Let's just get into it. What I'm talking about is, of course, our 2-game road stint where we went off to the East Coast into Baltimore and then made ourselves back into the Midwest via Kansas City. Let's start with those 2 games first, and then we'll get into what I think is probably one of the most fun and exciting games that has been on Twitch this whole season.
Yeah, the Baltimore Blast is a team that we've been competing against quite consistently this season. We started out the year against them on Friday, December the 15th at Toyota Arena, a game in which, well, we unfortunately lost by a scoreline of 7-5. It was the home opener that we held at Toyota Arena. And, well, we already went 0-1 on the season. Last year, we split. The home team won I think it was the away team that won the home games in both of those. No. Actually, that was the Justin Stinson game. And then it doesn't matter. Regardless. So we did face off against Baltimore early on in the season. And, well, we were going to go on a road trip, and I did say I would keep receipts. I did say we would come back with 2 very big victories against the Baltimore Blast and the Kansas City Comets. But honestly, it was not a very great start. You are doing what? Oh, you could have just asked me instead of reach around.
Sorry for the reach.
Yeah, family friendly. Look, the game against Baltimore, not an easy going for the Empire Strikers. Not an easy going at all, because it didn't take long for Baltimore to blast us with 6 goals to start the game. We weren't even in the locker room, and we found ourselves down by a score of 6-0. Baltimore was ready, and they absolutely applied the shebang bang to us relatively early on, but true to our form and true to our grit and tenacity and this never say die attitude that our team has, we found our way back into the game, but it really started out superbly ugly.
The game was over very early on, but to me, all that matters about this game is we only gave up 1 Zierhofer goalie throw-in goal, which makes us 3 times better than a certain other team that had that inflicted on them 3 times. So as far as I can tell, that's a win for Empire.
Look, Zierhofer, big shout out. First goalie in Major Arena Soccer League history to net himself a hat trick, and he did that just this past weekend. But look, while it might have been early that they went ahead against the Strykers, there were a lot of things to be proud of in that game. And of course, what I'm talking about is that unbelievable scissor kick goal by Garrett Bloom, getting his very first career goal in the Major Arena Soccer League. That was a thing of beauty. One of the prettiest goals we've seen by any of our Strikers this season.
Yeah, it was a fantastic goal. It was such a great goal that, he ended up injured because he put so much power to that. I think he suffered a little bit of a groin injury. So we know he put a lot behind that ball, and you could tell it. I mean, it was a great shot, I think.
It was an authoritative strike. Unfortunately, it came with a price. Brilliant goal, scissor kick. Love seeing it. Unfortunately, pulled groin is what he told me prior to the game on Sunday. So in that moment of glory, there is also a bit of agony, right? Which is sort of telling for this road trip.
Yeah, but we had a couple other key highlights that we have to mention. Riley Uri had his first Major Arena Soccer League goal. That was awesome, and that obviously led to something we're going to talk about a little later in the matchup against the Shockers. Abdul Mansoure did his thing. Marco Fabian extended his game goal scoring streak. But look, at one point, despite the fact that the Strykers were down by as much as they were, they clawed their way to within 2. Gerardo, within the fourth quarter, got himself a nice shot assisted by Stefan Mijatovic. We're going to talk a little bit about him later as well. And it got pretty close to the point where everybody at SecU Arena was probably sweating just a little bit. The Strykers never showed that they were done when a lot of teams probably would have rolled over with the deficit they had, but they clawed their way back into this game, got close. But then you talk about Mike Zierhofer. Mike Zierhofer put one in a little right after Gerardo's goal. And then, well, That was pretty much all she wrote, the nail in the coffin. Marco Fabian did score the final goal of that game. But, hats off to our boys. Congrats to Garrett. Congratulations to Riley for getting their first couple goals within their young MASL careers. But, we poured 42 shots on Baltimore, and we really did a good job getting back into the game. We couldn't close it out, but if you wipe out that horrific first quarter, we're very much in this game, and that right there is sort of what we've been talking about all season long. A complete game is something that we've been wanting to see out of the Empire. You negate one quarter out of every single game they've played in this season, we're a playoff team, if you really think about it. We've had just one miserable quarter in every single game that I can recall that we've lost, where the game just got unhinged. And then the rest of it, the boys clawed their way back in as much as they could. But, we're so stinking close, just so stinking close. I say it every game.
Sadly, that same theme is going to pop up later in the show, folks. Spoiler alert. Sorry. But you're right. It just seems like there's one moment in the game in which we get caught behind an idea that the other team is doing. And the reaction time to it is a little slow, but eventually the changes happen and the game progresses on better for the Strykers. But in those little moments of adaptation, this is something that players that are coming from outdoor to indoor, look, it's just going to take a little bit longer for them to build these indoor skills to be able to make these moves a little bit quicker, respond faster in games. And I think they've gotten better throughout the course of the season, but there still just seems to be these 5 to 10 minute spans where we just let goals pour in because we just kind of come unglued for a second. And then it's like we snap it back together, and all of a sudden we're playing Strykers defense again and stifling other teams. But we do have a tendency to just come off the rails. And it unfortunately happened early on in this one. And despite some heroic efforts, we just dug ourselves too big a hole to try and climb out of.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is I feel like in the earlier part of the season, we were kind of coming off the rails a little bit more in the second half. We'd start out strong, and we'd really have a good showing, and then all of a sudden, coming out of the half, everything would just kind of fall apart. However, in these last several games, I've noticed it's like we come out there and we fall behind early, and then we're playing catch up. I don't know which one is better or worse. When you look at a team, like, would you rather be a team that like comes out strong and then falls apart, or a team that maybe just isn't experienced enough to know what to expect or how to initially react, and now they're actually adjusting finally to what's being played? I don't know. It's just an interesting thing, and we're going to see that again, like you said, in another game that we're going to recap. But let's move on to the next one, because
just glance over the next one.
We're just going to tiptoe right past it.
It happened.
That was the mulligan.
Game over. We move on.
All right. What do you think happened? I mean, what I'm talking about is us heading to the Midwest, and of course going to the blue turf in that of the Kansas City Comets, who up until they played us had a, was it 7 or 8 game losing streak?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty for the Kansas City Comets whatsoever. And it didn't start out pretty for them either, because our very own and their former very own Adam James got the scoring off right off the bat. Pretty cool homecoming for him. Adam James did spend 5 seasons in front of the adoring crowd at Cable Dahmer Arena. And again, I love watching games there. And obviously, because of the broadcast, Nick and Eric are fantastic. But the energy in the crowd at Cable Dahmer Arena is awesome. I mean, they set a really good standard for the rest of this league. And to see Adam James score the first goal of the game, you think, oh man, this is going to be, pretty darn cool. This is exactly the way you'd want to start. But that was really the only other offense other than a Marco Fabian goal. I mean, Kansas City just whooped us. Let's just put it that way.
Whew. Yeah.
Look, 33 got on the scoreboard. Adam James had a goal. We move on.
Everyone,
it wasn't a good game. It was one of those travel day games where everybody looked tired. You could tell something was just not right. Short back-to-backs. It's one of those games you just kind of have to rinse and forget about. Be a goldfish. It's gonna happen, especially with tight games on a road trip like that. One of them ends up getting flushed down the sink, and this one, unfortunately, was not a great game from wall to wall.
No. What was crazy about that is we have another game in which we had a former member of the Empire Strikers score against us. In that, a Robert Palmer. But where it got really interesting is head coach Stefan Stokic decided to start employing the sixth attacker against us. And that's what enabled Kansas City to score the final 3 goals of the game. He just went at Empire in the most aggressive way possible. They weren't even down or at risk of losing, and it was sixth attacker. Boom, they got a goal. And then they're like, well, hey, if it's not broke, we don't fix it. Boom, they go again. And you got Robert Palmer hitting the first of that in the sixth attacker. You got Ramon Palmer scoring the next one. And then you got Nacho Flores, who finally hammered home the 7th goal of the game. So, I mean, we got our tails handed to us. But the interesting thing is, like, we had the lion's share of shots on Kansas City. We had 45 to their 27. They were just a lot more clinical and better at converting. When you have 2 goals off of 45 shots, the math on that is not very good. But also big props to Neto. Neto was fantastic in goal. He was one of the top 3 players in the game. I believe he made 15 saves. And I mean, the kid's elite, without a doubt. He's an elite goalkeeper. And well, Kansas City, again, handed our butts to us, but we have an opportunity at revenge upcoming in the next week.
My question real quick to you both is, knowing what you just said now, that 3 of those goals came by way of a sixth attacker, does that change at all how you do feel about this game? Meaning 7-2 scoreline looks pretty poopy. But then when you...
Was that your professional indicator?
Yes, that is a medical term for how this actually was. But when you go back and you look at it and think, okay, well, 3 of those goals were scored because they had to go a man up. Does that change at all how you feel about the scoreline or the performance at the end of the day?
No, to be honest, I think especially coming into this next game, it's at home. You have a week off prior to prepare for it. It's a completely different atmosphere than the second game of the weekend with travel on the road, different roster. I'm to me, there's not a whole lot you take from a game like this. I mean, it's just one of those games where really tired legs weren't able to get it done. And I just don't think that's indicative of where this team is going forward. There's not really much that I would say is going to impact this next matchup versus KC upcoming on the weekend.
I mean, what's nice about it is Marco Fabian scored a power play goal to bring the score, to cut it in half, the lead, 4-2. So at that point, because there was no action that happened within the third quarter. Everything else, for the most part, transpired within the fourth. But after Marco Fabian cuts the lead in half, that's when Stokic decided to, employ the sixth attacker. And then that's just essentially what got this game off the rails for Empire. They had a tough time being able to contend. And I would say, for the most part, probably surprised that they went with this strategy, considering what the score line was. I don't recall seeing anything like that anytime within our tenure broadcasting and calling Empire Strikers games. But, kudos to the intestinal fortitude by the coaching staff to employ that. We really got massacred by that sixth attacker dagger.
I think it's just another way you exploit a tired traveled team.
True.
Force them to move, force them to keep constantly having to deal with that extra man late in the game when, there's nothing left in the tank.
Right. Well, and I guess that's kind of what I meant by my question. Like, do you think this was just a poor performance, or like you said, just them using sixth attacker to really exploit where we were kind of weakest, knowing that, that it was going to be tough. They were at home. We had been on the road. We both played games pretty much evenly apart. I think they had a game the previous night as well. So it wasn't like, were advantageous in that way. But, again, it looks at it, and sixth attacker's hard. It's just like constantly playing a power play. So either way, it is what it is.
Where we've actually been pretty good is on the penalty kill.
Right,
which is the surprising
exhausted
part of all that. We have not been great versus the sixth attacker, but we've been great on the penalty kill, and that just doesn't make sense.
Right. Well, either way, we fall to the Kansas City Comets 7-2, and not feeling very great about things. I'll be honest, it was a little bit of a somber moment for a lot of us. We really wanted to come away with any points, I think, at that point, and to come off the road with none, a little sad, but you know what? We got a little bit of a boost of confidence, I think, in this team with our next game that we're going to talk about. So let's dive right in it. I think everybody knows what we're talking about. If you didn't see this game or didn't see highlights or haven't heard anything about this game, then what are you doing? Because I don't know. Did you guys have fun calling this game?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, I had a lot of fun calling this game. One of the most exciting games of the season. The St. Louis Ambush game had that award prior to this game against San Diego, but this really was a fun one. The record historically between San Diego and Empire, not great. Definitely more lopsided for San Diego, maintaining a 33-9 record going into this game. However, we had an opportunity because San Diego just competed in their fourth game within 10 days. San Diego came in with far less firepower than they normally brought in. No Tavoy Morgan. He hurt himself earlier in the week against Texas. And that was another thing. Game on Tuesday, game on Thursday against the Outlaws, a very, very tough team. And then us. No Tavoy, no Charlie, no Gabriel Costa, no Leo de Oliveira. And then as the game went on, no Drew Ruggles and no Pee-wee. But this team is so stinking deep and talented that you can remove all those players and still manage to put on a competitive effort. It's just San Diego just does nothing but I can't even say they surprise me anymore. It's just, to me, it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to win more games than they're going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a big piece of news that we skipped over that happened at the end of the road trip.
Yes,
and
my apologies for jumping.
Sorry, I was going to set that up, but you go right ahead.
Well, I just figured, look, we've talked about the omissions to San Diego's roster. And there's a pretty big omission from the Strykers roster as well, too. As most people sort of caught the news via social media, it came out that, after the road trip that the team had come back and that Stefan Mijatovic was not going to be present with the team for the next game. And what has transpired since then is unfortunate. But I would say that as far as what the Strykers are looking to do with the rest of this season is try and make sure that all of the young players and the new players to the indoor game are getting the opportunities to learn, grow, adapt, and figure out what this team needs to assess going into the offseason and next year. The Strykers are on the verge of, but certainly still not officially eliminated from the playoffs. But at this point, that gap between us and Tacoma at 14 points, seeing as how we just found our 8th point of the season, certainly looks like a pretty large gap. So the focus right now really has to be on developing, right? And as a result of that realignment and focus, it meant that Stefan was no longer with the team. And so that was a big piece of news to drop. But I have to say, I arrived super early for the game on Sunday and watched the practice and saw a very, very energetic team, a very positive team, a team that was very together in a way that, you don't always see throughout the course of, at least I haven't seen with this throughout the course of the season. There tends to be little pockets, little cliques that you tend to see, grouped together. But this is really the first time I had saw a collaborative team that seemed, and the attitude and the presence of everyone was really high going into the game. And I think as shocking as the outcome might seem to a lot of people across MASL, to those of us who were there in the arena, the first quarter was really the only shocking part of the game. There was a very, very unified Empire Strikers team that went out of practice and, into the film room before Sunday's game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great game. I mean, yeah, no Stefan in attendance, but we did have 4,200 raucous fans in that arena, and boy, did they put on a show for all of them. I have no doubt that most of those people are going to come back to see another game after what they witnessed on Sunday, because it was pretty exciting. So let's just dive in. Let's just kind of recap a little bit of how it transpired and, how it ended, because it certainly ended a lot differently than it started.
No, of course. And like you were saying, just to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, Jonathan, about the team playing with confidence, there was an interview done with Gerardo early on in the week, and he seemed confident that the boys were actually going to pull one over. And you haven't heard that kind of confidence come from our players for a good portion of the season. Like, they know they've gotten close, but that was that was an eye-opening press release that I saw that our buddy Gunner, head of PR and communications, released off of the interview. So, eye-opener. Gerardo, a member of San Diego for the past couple of seasons. But the game started out much like you would expect. We were told that Brandon Escoto might be questionable. The last time Churras was in the building, he scored arguably the best goal of the MASL year. And he got things started out with 2 straight goals early on in the game. One assisted by Cerda and another one assisted by Craig Childs, who coming into this game was a mere 6 points shy of hitting 700 career indoor points.
I think he got 4 of those points in the first quarter. He was almost at 700 by halftime. The way the first quarter seemed to just be Sockers pinging goals in left and right. It was difficult to watch. It was another one of those quarters where the first goal happened and then it just seemed like it was goal, goal, goal. And every shot they were taking was finding a corner. Something would take a deflection. And I think the first goal was a deflection and finds the top corner. And then we sat back a little. We gave them a little too much possession. Our defense crept in too far in towards our keeper, allowed them far too much space to move around, and they started just pinging shots in. And it took us a few goals coming in before finally we all of a sudden started coming out, pressing the ball a little bit more inside the yellow, and all of a sudden the game completely turned around. But for a moment there, it looked like the Sockers were going to completely run away with this one.
Yeah, I mean, Juan Gonzalez got himself a goal. Felipe Gonzalez is having a really good season offensively. Craig Childs was just an absolute maniac, killing all of us with his passing proficiency and his ability to thread the netting. But like you said, after Marco Fabian opened the goal scoring for the Strykers, they settled down a bit. And Brian Orozco, who got his 4th start this season and his 4th start in the Major Arena Soccer League, started settling in as well. Defense wasn't necessarily helping him out early on, but the Strykers all of a sudden started coming back and really made this game exciting. The first quarter was all San Diego. But going back to what I mentioned, you take out the first quarter, this game is over because Empire absolutely dominated all the way through in terms of the number of goals they scored, in terms of the shots that they had. But when you got the likes of a Guerrero Pino, a Mitchell Cardenas defensively, and then Boris Pardo, it's going to be a tough thing for any team to overcome. Pardo, while he doesn't see that many shots, he's not in the top 10 for saves in MASL, and a lot of that is attributed to the stingy defense of Cardenas and Pino.
When called upon in this game, and if you ask me after the fact, Pardo's man of the match. Throughout the course of this game, he made some phenomenal saves. Yep. Phenomenal saves. I mean, I believe once again the Strykers outshot the Sockers. And were it not for Pardo there was a moment where he was boom down into his right, catching him off the ground, full leaps into the air. I mean, he was putting on a show. And he really kept them in it, especially throughout that late surge. I think one piece that had a lot to do with it is the crowd was a little bit late arriving. Obviously, some stormy weather of late. Roads have been difficult here in the greater LA area. And throughout that first quarter, we had about maybe 2,000-3,000 in the building, and you could kind of feel it simmering, kind of getting to a boil. And by second quarter, when we had at least 4K plus, I forget what the exact number was, 4,200 something in the building by that second quarter, all of a sudden the whole energy in the arena just started to boil, and everything seemed to just pick up from that point. And the boys fed off the crowd. And I think that late arriving crowd and just the energy that was in the building really kind of set the team off. And from there on out, we almost came so desperately close to getting that W at home, and especially getting it versus the Sockers. Unfortunately, our late heroics not enough. But anytime you have a game where home team Strykers score with 45 seconds left in the game to send us to overtime, I mean, what a moment, Philly.
I mean, what a moment sorry, go ahead. Gerardo getting a big goal against San Diego was a big motivational booster for the team, and obviously this comes off of the heels of what he had mentioned in the interview earlier in the week. We had some really big goals. Alan Perez came up big. Marco Fabian with a brace. He scored in every single game that he's played in. It's just been awesome watching Marco Fabian do his
20
thing.
goals, 13 games, right? 20
Yeah,
goals
20
in 13
goals,
games.
11 assists in the time that he's played with the Empire Strikers. It's incredible. But then Riley Uri gets his second goal over the course of 3 games, and his goal was an absolute banger of a goal. He took it into open field and made his sprint and absolutely killed it upper right-hand corner. And then, Panda, I'll let you take this one. The goal of goals that, almost caused me to blow out my vocal cords. Talk to us about the equalizer that sent us into overtime.
Why are you having me do that?
Oh, because I felt like we've been interrupting you. All right.
Well, I was going to talk about something totally different. So you keep going on with that, and I will circle back to the things that I want to highlight in this game.
Alan Perez tied it.
I do want to, go back to the Riley Uri goal, because that is exactly the type of goal you use to take advantage of a really slow team, a team that's tired, a team that's, shorthanded and running much tighter shifts, right? You just run right past them. And I love seeing that from Riley, but with the control, the precision, and the idea at the end to pick a corner, catch the keeper, lean and pick the other side. It was such a brilliant goal. And I think what set it up was there was a moment earlier in the game where he had another breakaway and he dumps the ball to the right wing and there's nobody there, right? And you can just tell he was so disappointed in himself that he had made all this space and then passed the ball to where he knew someone was going to be, and then turned around and found that guy had gone in for a change and there was no one on the right wing and it just petered out. And then not 5-10 minutes later in the game, he gets the ball, same thing happens. And rather than dishing it to the right wing, he says, nah, I'm taking this one to the house. Goes top corner, beats Pardo. I mean, that goal, the fact that you saw the mistake early, the adjustment, the result. I mean, every bit of that, it was such a perfect little paradigm of the entire Strykers season. And I just love that moment.
I love that for him. His second goal, he was a combine player that we picked up, which I think is super exciting and says a lot for, the recruiting of the players and just having the combine in general, to not have a player like that may get that kind of exposure, and to bring him in and to see him do things like that. Like you said, to learn from what was happening earlier in the game to being able to adjust and then go out there and do something like that. It was incredible. And he, I interviewed him after the game, of course, and he was just, you could tell he was just excited. He was so happy. I know he's got a lot of fans out there that were so proud of him. And, you love to see that. And you want to see more of that from our young kids. And, speaking of young, we were talking about, Boris Pardo and his performance, but not enough can be said about Brian Orozco. I mean, that goal line save that he made on that ball with, shout out to our broadcast team for that technology to be able to see that ball did not cross that line as he got his glove in there and was able to scoop it out. I mean, that's got to be such an uplifting moment too for those guys to see him put himself out there like that and to save that goal and go, okay, guys, that one didn't count. Thankfully, we got to do more at this point because he's standing on his head for us right now. So we got to come out and we've got to be even tougher at this point. But either way, some fantastic moments in this game. Absolutely. And again, I mean, anytime we go into overtime, the crowd gets electric. I was down in the box, the penalty area where I usually hang out for the games, with El Chival Mayor.
Julio. Vamos Strykers.
Yes, Vamos Strykers. We were down there hanging out, and I mean, we were just, losing our minds. It was so much fun. It was a great game, and the crowd was so loud. I mean, I don't even know how I can convey it to anybody who wasn't there. I don't know if they could tell on the broadcast, but just so much fun, and I loved every bit of it. And I mean, I was praying so hard for a win because I felt like they really did deserve it.
They got the point, which was great. Taking a point off of the table from San Diego is no easy feat. It's a team that's 13-2, and the only team that's beaten them all season long is the Chihuahua Savage. Obviously, another really tough team. But it was really stinking loud. That overtime period, though, not that many shots occurred within that time frame. I mean, you're talking about one shot respectively a piece, but I can't help but also mention the fact that, San Diego's playing on tired legs, but they're also without a former MASL Defender of the Year, and that of Drew Ruggles, and Pee Wee, who at this coming into the game on Sunday was 11 blocks in 4 games, another important piece to their puzzle. So that was another element I just want to make sure that we highlight.
Yeah, it was a challenge between Claude Dielna and Drew Ruggles in the second. That unfortunately had Drew Ruggles out at halftime for the rest of the game. Hope the Rugglefarian is back up and ready to go for the next match. A great player. Want to see him continue to go. You know, there was a moment, obviously, early on in overtime, soccer should have iced it. Childs wide open, tap in, back post. He makes that 999 times out of 1,000. And I think that was, the moment the tired legs really showed themselves. The ball rolls over. He missed from this far away from the goal, which Craig Childs never does, right? And then the Strikers had a flurry of opportunities there in overtime. They were peppering shots in. They were keeping the ball. They were putting that pressure on San Diego. And I thought for sure one of those Fabian strikes was going to go in. And unfortunately, we end up going into PKs. And this is where I really thought Orozco shined. I mean, of course, he lets the first one into Childs, but coming up with big stops on the next two, keeping the Strikers in it. We just needed to put one in. Unfortunately, I think I called him this on the broadcast, human cheat code Pardo. Just, I mean, that right there was a man of the match performance. With the game on the line, he stepped up, made 3 massive saves in a row. That's huge. Fabian puts his just. Yeah, you're right. Fabian missed. He made 2
Fabian
saves,
beat him, but he missed. An uncharacteristic miss. But other than that, yes. And also Orozco, you mentioned him. He got a couple of really good saves. It was Childs that killed us, as he has done time and time again in the penalty shootout. But man, it was fun, though. Absolutely fun. I don't remember the last time we saw more than 4,000 at Toyota Arena. It would have to be that USA-Mexico game that took place in September, just a few months prior. That game, for the neutral parties, for the newbies that came in to check out indoor soccer for the first time, this was the perfect game to market this beautiful league and this beautiful sport because it was action packed. When you think one team was going to run away with it, the underdog clawed their way back into this game, and it was fun. It was exciting. I absolutely enjoyed calling this game I'd still say, with the exception of the St. Louis game, Fabian's overtime winner, because, hey, we got a W in that one. These 2 games, though, most fun I've had calling games over the last several years, I should say. It's been good. It was.
How I knew this was going to be a really fun night? Patty was back. And I just want to give shouts to Patty, the elevator operator at Toyota Arena, who's been there for years, has been out for a little bit this season. This was her first game back. So shouts to Patty. Shouts to all the people that work at Toyota Arena. I got to see firsthand just how insanely efficient those people are. Saturday night, 11 p.m., I'm standing in Toyota Arena. It's a full concert setup, chairs across the floor, and they were able to get an entire stage, lighting rig, chairs, all of that out, cleaned out all the concert nonsense, which, as you can imagine, is a lot of nonsense. And we're able to roll out all the boards, all the turf, and it was ready to go. And at 9 a.m., the boys were practicing. I mean, that is a wild 8-hour turnaround to take a concert down and put an entire MASL setup in. And I was so impressed by how quickly and efficiently they got that whole thing done. And everybody from the elevator operator to the grounds people, to us, to the players. I mean, it takes such a huge family of people to make this all happen, from production to players and everyone in between. And it was really cool to get to witness that piece of it that I don't normally get to see. So tip of the cap to all of them.
I was really upset with the Tool fans because in the penalty area where I stand, there was a half-drunk little shooter of Fireball. And all I could think
sure
of
that
is,
wasn't yours?
Ha!
Sorry. God, that was loud. Absolutely not. I would never have a half-drunk bottle of Fireball. I'm just saying.
You're right. That would be empty. You're right. Why
was it half drunk? What were you doing? Why halfway through did you decide, nah, this ain't it?
It's probably more suspect to being somebody else that might have been floating around the arena. I don't know. Tool fans.
I don't know. It was laying in the floor of the penalty box area. So it was like we moved it and it kept moving. I don't know who kept moving it, but
there was no penalty box there the day before. So who knows?
I don't know. It was sus. So I was like, what is going on? But either way, one thing I did want to highlight, we will be without a certain player for our next game. Is that when they get a red card?
Oh, yeah. Anthony Wright's red card, where we had that little kerfuffle, scluffle, scuffle, kerfluffle,
Kerfluffle.
kerfluffle. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Bench is cleared. Anthony Wright gets dinged with a red card, and well, he was asked to walk, and the reason being is because he came off the bench. But I kind of like that. He came out there to support and fight for his teammates. And that's what you want to see, a group of boys coming at it together. And that's what a team is. You go in a battle together, you go in a war together, you compete and you defend each other. I'm not necessarily mad at that red card, but it sucks that he's going to be out because he's been steadily improving since his very first game.
Yeah, he made some clutch plays defensively, I thought, and definitely after the defense kind of warmed up. So yeah, that's we're definitely going to miss that for our next game. But speaking of that, yes, Reimer, you have a question?
It's a moment where his heart is in the right place, but his head is not, because there is a clear blue card on San Diego. All we had to do was challenge, get the blue. We got the blue, right? You're up a man. This is a huge moment in the game, right? Instead, you have a scuffle that, becomes a kerfuffle on the verge of a full-fledged hullabaloo. But before that, you cannot run off the bench and join a fight. I don't care if it's Marco Fabian. I love Fabian, but the players that are out there can take care of it. You cannot get a red card in that moment because what ended up not being a power play ended up being a 4-on-4 and San Diego scored.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, those are the mental mistake moments that we've been talking about throughout the course of this season. We even mentioned it on the broadcast that San Diego is one of those teams that are prone to making blue card fouls and prone to having those moments escalate. And you have to be smart or you're going to end up on the wrong side of the card count in those games, right? If you play it smart, you can end up on the right side of the card count. And that's a clear advantage. We had the advantage. We squandered it. So, it's not a great moment between the ears as much as it might be a great moment between the ribs.
Couldn't said it better myself. And like I said, let's just move on from that kerfluffle onto what is coming up next for us in the next week. Or I guess everything is on next week. We're going to be going back home, thankfully, on Wednesday. We're going to be getting our rematch, aren't we? Oh, what do you got? What do you got?
We're playing these guys. Those guys.
For those of you who don't have YouTube and are listening in your car, he's pointing to his Kansas City Comets jersey. Where'd you get that?
The wonderful folks at Kansas City.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. But yes, they will be coming.
Wait. Hold on. So Kansas City sent you a jersey and Panda and I sitting over here, Comet jersey lists. Yo, Missouri Meteors, where's the love?
Yeah.
In all fairness, I was bugging Ken Stanley for a good year about getting a jersey. And since California is a community property state, what's mine's is hers anyway. So we got to get you a Comets jersey. I'm happy to announce I've almost completed my jersey collection for all the MASL teams. The only ones I'm still in need of, the Monterey Flash. I need that one. Gio, I still need that Baltimore Blast jersey, homie. And then last but not least, the Milwaukee Wave. In a moment of having jovially partied, I spent a couple of bucks and I've got a Texas Outlaws jersey on its way. I was going to tell you, I did spend a couple of bucks on another jersey, but I've almost completed my collection of MASL kits. And so this is my little way of contributing to the bottom line of teams, helping keep this league afloat. This is a good thing. It's a good investment.
I wish you guys could see the closet and what the jerseys hang on, because you know how a closet pole is supposed to be straight, and this one looks like an upside down rainbow right now. So because there's so many on it,
it could be a smile
like
because of all those
smiley
jerseys.
face.
Yeah, smiling.
He's also wearing a new jersey he got as well too. While we're outing Philly on buying jerseys, he is wearing a jersey he paid for as well too. But that's a beautiful one.
Anyways, that's a whole nother conversation I'm not prepared to have because there was not enough wine in this glass. So again, we will just recap the fact that we are playing Kansas City Comets at home at Toyota Arena Wednesday, February 28th at 7:05 Pacific Standard Time. So if you are in the area, I highly, highly recommend you come out to see that, because hopefully this will be a really good game and not anything close to what we experienced last time we played Kansas City. And then, of course, on Friday, March the 1st, we will be heading all the way down to San Diego, and we're going to take on the Strykers again. What will this be? Number 4 of 6?
Yes, this will be 4 of 6.
Yeah, number 4 of 6. We will be down in Pechanga Arena. That will be at 7:35 Pacific Standard Time on Friday, March 1st.
We got to get down there. I mean, it's the final season of the grand old arena. We have to get down to Pechanga Arena for one last encounter with the soccer.
I just want some Phil's barbecue.
Oh my God,
I would go down just for the Phil's barbecue.
Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry right now. Thank you for that.
So just real quick.
We got to be there for when Pechanga. We got to be there for the final game. We got to go down there one time this year. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's absolutely make it happen.
I feel like I looked at my schedule and tried to figure it out, and then like things just were not lining up, unfortunately. But yeah, I definitely want to get down there. Let's look at it again, and hopefully we can go and visit our wonderful Strykers friends down there. They're always very hospitable for us, so I love it. But anyways, that is what's going on. That is what's coming up. Do you guys have any mulligans, any breakfast balls on the info that you'd like to throw out there?
I got nothing.
Oh, Doctor, do you have anything that you would like to leave as parting words of wisdom or anything?
I just appreciate everybody letting us watch Messi get 2 assists before we went live tonight. It was awful kind of everyone. I appreciate that.
Yay. Inter Miami, the BetMGM favorite to win MLS Cup this season, with LAFC being the second team that's favored, FYI.
Purple's better than pink.
Oh. Whoa. What is happening? Are you
Did the lights go out? Did you not pay?
Oh no. What did I do? What did I do?
Hey,
is the problem between the chair and the keyboard?
Hey, Ryan.
Oh, let there be light.
Reimer, I was gonna say, if you're losing electricity, it looks like you might need another job to add to your 10. And you know where you could find one of those?
Oh, hey, that's a very good point, Panda, because that's a good time to remind people that Omnitrans is the proud sponsor of Striking Fury and your ride to Strykers games and everywhere else you want to go in San Bernardino County. Omnitrans is now hiring bus operators, mechanics, and vehicle service workers. Earn great wages, get up to $1,000 sign-on bonus, and enjoy great benefits, including medical, dental, and tuition reimbursement. Working for Omnitrans is more than just a job. It's a career. Visit omnitrans.org/mycareer and apply today.
Do you notice how he changed his voice as he was doing that read? He went completely different. He went from being announcer Reimer to all of a sudden pitchman Reimer.
Does he do that on the broadcast too?
No,
it's all the same. Yeah, I
think when I do some of the reads on the broadcast, I do sometimes get into the da voice just for fun. Look, we're all having fun. Voice. I should be allowed to have fun too.
Duh.
I love it.
I think, the moments when we have fun on the broadcast tend to be very well received in the chat. I think we went on a whole tangent about drummers and like the chat up about how awesome our tangent about drummers was during the last broadcast. So, I just appreciate that the fans appreciate. So thank you. Thank you to all the fans out there that are having fun with us having fun. That really matters, right? And I think, like our little banter segment prior to the broadcast said, no one has more fun than us. No one.
No.
Good. No. Anyways, that is what we have for everybody. I don't really have anything else to add to this. If you guys don't, I think there's really only one thing left for us to say. What? What?
Strike hard.
Defend the Empire.
No mercy.
I think we finally nailed it. So on that, I am just going to say... We are